प्रभु कोथा गेला आचार्य ठाकुर है ना प्रभु कोथा गेला आचार्य ठाकुर कहा मोरा स्वरूप रूप कहा सनातन कहा दास रघुनाथ पतित पावन मोर भट्ट युग कहा कबीरा एक काले को था गेला गोरा नटरा पाषाणे खुटिबो माथा आनले पशिबो गौरांग निरनिधि कोथा गेले पाबो गौरांग गुणेरा निधि कोथा गेले पाबो से सब संगीर संगे जे कोइल मिला संग ना पाया खंड से संग ना पाया कांडे नरोत्तम दास विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्री प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की श्री राधा श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोविंद श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की गंगा मई की यमुना मई की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की Transcendental book distribution ki, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki. All glories to some devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to some devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to some devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Niti Namane. Okay. Just to speak on Ramanujacharya before the Srimad Bhagavatam, if we get around to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So, Gyanatimandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunitam Yena Tasmai Shri Namah Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sheta Patakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagratam Sagaran Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savaditam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagaran Lalita Shri Vyakan Vitam Chahe Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavanda Jagatpate Gopisha Kopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavani Shri Bhanusude Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhishya Kripat Sindhubhyo Vichapatitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Adhishatharini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalshpatakakratim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hai Grivam Upasmahe. Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinirasmarana Hai Vigna Vinashana Nayasya Hai Nijavanchita Purana. So, would you be able to grab me this Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from, it's on the desk in the office room. So, today is the disappearance day of Sri Ramanuja Acharya, a great Acharya, very prominent Acharya, obviously, of the Sri line. So, that's why it's called the Ramanuja line also, just like we have the Madhva. This is the Ramanuja Sampradaya. He was a very great Acharya in establishing the Sri Vaishnav cult in the land of India and spreading it widely to the extent of all the way from south. It is present all the way up to Nepal. He spread it very, very widely. He was a great philosopher, you could say also. He's a great devotee of the Lord. And defeated many great scholars throughout his life and established the devotion to Vishnu as a... It was open, but yeah, that was me. Okay, that's fine. No. And so he plays a very important role even in the tradition of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, in coming from the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because they are all Vaishnavacharyas. We regard them greatly. We do not dismiss them and do not disregard them at all, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much gave them so much reverence. And as mentioned in the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu book, he took from these lines of Vaishnav, these four Vaishnav lines, he took two major specialities from each of them. In order to establish the Gaudiya Vaishnav line prominently, he took the two prominent things in the other two lines, mainly being in the Madhva Sampradaya, the defeat of Mayavad philosophy and recognition of the deity form of Krishna as an eternal spiritual being. From Ramanuja, he incorporated the concept of bhakti unpolluted by karma and jnana and the importance of service to devotees. From Vishnu Swami's teachings, he adopted the sentiment of exclusive independence on Krishna and the path of rag bhakti. From the Nimbarka, he accepted the need to take shelter of Radha and high esteem for the gopis' love for Krishna. Of course, this is already present in the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but in order to establish a sampradaya that is bona fide, you could say he made these things also prominent within the Gaudiya Vaishnava line. Because you see in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that all of these things are very, they're present very deeply throughout the Chaitanya Charitamrita, one specific point being the association of devotees. So Ramanuja Acharya's line plays a great role, and of course all the Vaishnava lines, they are all bona fide, and they all have obviously a commonality to it, because it's a Vaishnava line, it's devotion to Vishnu. So they all have very close resemblance of each other, with a very few minor, you could say, differences in terms of how to show devotion to Vishnu, how to devote oneself to Vishnu. That is a detail in which that is personal and individual to the living entity. And so here Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken this specific two things, that bhakti which is unpolluted by karma jnana anavritam, anukulena krishnanu, shilanam bhakti uttama. And the importance of service to devotees, that service to the Mahatmas, that one should simply approach the devotees and serve them. By doing so, one can come to the platform of highest bhakti, one platform of highest bhakti, of actually being able to be completely situated in bhakti. So Ramanuja Acharya, he played a great role in establishing the Vaishnava Sampradaya and defeating the Mayavad philosophy also. We had the disappearance of Madhva Acharya yesterday, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically chose this line to be a part of this particular line, Madhva line, because of his very strong defeat of Mayavad philosophy, as mentioned here, that he accepted. From Madhva, he accepted a complete defeat of Mayavad philosophy. He very much strongly preached against Mayavad, Madhvacharya, and defeated it again and again, and established Vishnu Bhakti. So Ramanujacharya, as we've often heard from different devotees, that we are arch enemies of the Mayavadis. They are our born enemies. That we have deep hatred for them. That is, it goes to the level of the soul, because it's not just on this platform of the body. Deep hatred for them, because they're just envious towards Krishna. We hate them so much because they want to become Krishna. So here Ramanujacharya also displayed similar things, similar aspects, because that is the duty of the acharyas, to establish bhakti and to cut away misconceptions that is there present in the general masses. So Ramanujacharya was born, or you could say he appeared in 1017 AD, so much before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is that, 500 years before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So 500 years, approximately 500 years before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramanujacharya was present on the planet. And specifically mentioned, he belonged to Smarta Brahmana family. And from the very beginning, he was very attracted to the, as being from a Brahmana family, of education, of being able to be deeply trying to understand the Shastras and learn the Shastras from a young age in the Vaishnava culture, or in the cultures of India. One is, especially if one is deeply involved in the Brahminical family, or is born in the Brahminical family, then immediately they more or less hear the hymns of the Vedas. Here, it is mentioned that when the boy came of age, when he grew up a little bit, Keshavacharya immersed him in Sanskrit education, teaching him grammar, logic, and the Vedas. Although Ramanuja was well schooled in Brahminical learning, however, he had not yet been exposed to the deep devotional Tamil hymns glorifying Shri Vishnu. His natural devotion had already been awakened by the association of the non-Brahman disciple of Sri Yamuna Acharya named Kanchipurna. And Ramanuja demonstrated a saintly nature even from his childhood. As time passed, he underwent many purificatory rites, including the sacred thread ceremony, and was married at the age of 16. So Ramanujacharya was from a young age, due to the great association of Yamunacharya, he was the disciple of Yamunacharya, Kanchipurna. He was able to get devotion to Vishnu because he was able to hear from the devotee of the Lord. Although it's mentioned here, the non-Brahmana disciple of Sri Yamunacharya, and obviously the consciousness or the caste consciousness that was there created a little bit of trouble for Ramanujacharya a little bit later on after he got married. So he, after getting married, his father had passed away, and then he moved to Kanchipurna. He moved along with his family to Kanchipuram, and where he entered the academy of Yadava Prakash. Yadava Prakash is it comes in the line of Shankaracharya. He was trained in the line of Shankaracharya. He was attracted towards that line. Actually, it's mentioned that his mother was a great devotee of Vishnu, but she was very saddened by Yadava Prakash being attracted to Shankaracharya's line. And so Yadava Prakash, being the Shankarite, or the school of impersonalism that he would give really terrible translations from the Vedas. One specific translation that was mentioned was that often we hear in any sort of scripture, when we glorify Vishnu, his eyes are compared like to what? Lotus petals. They're red. But the Rasko Mayavadis, they translate that to mean, he translated at that point, I think Ramanuja must have been massaging him or performing some sort of service, and he translated this to mean Lord Vishnu's lotus eyes are red as a monkey's ass. And so immediately, any devotee that hears that is angered by that such comparison could be made. And immediately, Ramanuja, being extremely angered, actually Yadava Prakash recognized that, my disciple or this student, practically disciple you could say, he's studying under him, is very disturbed. And when asked, he immediately told him that actually your translation of such a understanding is completely wrong. And to tell that to your guru, especially Yadava Prakash, who was a well-established, had a well-established Vedic, teaching. He was a Vedantist, is really offensive and puts his position down in front of all the other disciples that he has. And so immediately Ramanujacharya gave the proper translation, saying, no, see, you're wrong. This has been explained. The proper explanation of this is that Lord Vishnu's lotus eyes are like the petals, like the redness of the lotus petals, or like that of a lotus. And so immediately, actually it's mentioned that when he was enraged, hot tears flowed from his eyes, and it fell on the guru's back. So here, in Ramanuja exactly the translation, that which sits upon the water and flourishes by drinking. In other words, a lotus. So when Yadava Prakash saw such a thing, he wanted to immediately kill Ramanujacharya. He wanted to actually have him killed. So he had plotted a murder to kill Ramanujacharya, and he conspired with his disciples to go on pilgrimage to the Ganga and kill Ramanujacharya in a secluded place. After killing Ramanuja, they would bathe in the Ganga to expiate their sin. They would get rid of their sin by bathing in the Ganga. So Ramanujacharya explained that. So here, but fortunately, the cousin of Ramanujacharya had warned Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya was able to get out of it and went unharmed. So Ramanujacharya, even after some time, actually, after some time, Yadava Prakash returned to Purnam, and Ramanuja continued to go into his lectures, although inwardly he was looking for another path. So although this was the situation, Ramanuja was still studying, but internally he understood that this Mayavadi is completely bogus, and that I need to find another guru, I need to follow another person. And Yamunacharya, who is the guru of Kanchipurna, who Ramanujacharya had already heard from when he was very young, had actually come to this place that Ramanujacharya was residing, but seeing that he was very closely associated with Yadava Prakash, he did not bother to actually speak to him or actually talk to him about anything else. But after some time, and after many arguments with Yadava Prakash, Ramanujacharya decided that actually I shouldn't be with this person anymore, and his mother advised him that he go learn from Yamunacharya. So here Ramanujacharya took shelter of Yamunacharya. Here it's mentioned. So Ramanuja explained, after they argued so much, here he took guidance from, Ramanujacharya was advised to take guidance from Kanchipurna. Kanchipurna advised him to serve the deity, Vishnu deity, in the temple of Varadraj by carrying water every day to the temple. He began to serve Kanchipurna with great devotion and soon was accepted as his disciple. Although Kanchipurna was by birth a member of the Shudra caste and Ramanujacharya was a Brahmana, this never influenced Ramanujacharya's devotion for him. He accepted Kanchipurna as his guru without reservation. Ramanujacharya's wife, however, could not tolerate her husband's acceptance of a Shudra as a guru and did her best to discourage Ramanujacharya from remaining in his company. And so it's mentioned a little bit later, that Yamunacharya became very ill, who is the guru of Kanchipurna. And when he was passing away from this world, he heard that Ramanujacharya had left the school of Yadava Prakash and began serving the humble Kanchipurna, who was famous as a great devotee of Vishnu. He sent some disciple to bring Ramanujacharya. When Ramanujacharya heard the news, he immediately went to Srirangam. He immediately set out for Srirangam. And so when he went to Srirangam, Yamunacharya had already just passed away and entered Vaikuntha, of course. And it's mentioned here that he had his 3 fingers held. His fist was clenched with his 3 fingers up. Ramanujacharya noticed that 3 fingers on the right hand of the master were closed. His fist was clenched. And so I guess the rest of them would have been open. He asked the disciples of Yamunacharya if he had accustomed to holding his hand in such a way, and they replied it was highly unusual. Sripad Ramanujacharya could understand that his unusual gesture of the 3 clenched fingers represented the 3 unfulfilled wishes of Yamunacharya. He then vowed to fulfill these 3 wishes. He promised to teach the people in general the religion of surrender to Vishnu, train them in the 5 samskaras or purificatory processes. As he did so, one of Yamunacharya's fingers relaxed. Ramanujacharya then vowed to comment on the hymns of the Alvars, the South Indian saints, and with this the 2nd finger relaxed. Finally, Ramanujacharya promised to write a scholarly commentary on the Vedanta Sutras, expounding the principles of Sri Vaishnavism as the ultimate truth of the Vedas. The last clenched finger was relaxed. A look of spiritual peace came upon the lotus face of Ramanujacharya's divine master, Sri Yamunacharya, as if so that he could now depart peacefully, knowing that his mission was in good hands. So, seeing this particular aspect, Ramanujacharya, this is a very important point I particularly wanted to make in this class of his devotion to the Acharya. And his ability to commit to the unfulfilled desire, you could say, of the Acharya that was there, that he wanted his disciples to fulfill, and which nobody could particularly understand. But due to the great devotion Ramanujacharya had for his own guru, he was able to understand the inner desire of Yamuna Acharya. Actually, Yamuna Acharya was very pleased with his service that Ramanujacharya provided to his disciple, Kanchipurna. And so the grand spiritual master, as we've heard from Srila Prabhupada, the great spiritual master, or the grandfather, is much more affectionate to the grandson or the granddaughter than the father himself. So here, Yamuna Acharya revealed to Sri Ramanujacharya the inner desires of his heart. And when Ramanuja was able to understand it, he vowed to fulfill these things, to spread the message of Vishnu, to train them in these 5 samskars, wherever he spreads that message, to comment on the hymns of the Alvars, and to write a scholarly commentary on the Vedanta Sutras, expounding the principle of Sri Vaishnavism as the ultimate truth of the Vedas. So these were the 3 vows that he made to his spiritual master, to his great spiritual master, and he fulfilled such, and he was fixed on fulfilling such promise or such vow. And we can see that is the primary duty of the disciple in his life. And we see that primary thing in the life of Sri Ramanujacharya. That actually immediately after vowing that, or after Yamunacharya leaving, his wife, when he returned, his wife actually, he started to neglect his wife. He started to become naturally more disassociated with material life. He was more detached, you could say, or he was no longer interested in maintaining such a household. He was disinterested in family life, his beautiful wife and home, and absorbed himself deeply in the service of his guru, Kanchipurna, with whom he began spending most of his time. As Ramanuja spent more time at the temple, his wife became unhappy that her husband was ignoring her, as any wife would, but specifically, she felt really humiliated by the fact that Ramanujacharya was actually serving a Shudra, because his guru was from the caste of the Shudra. And she was from a Brahmana family, and he was from a Brahmana family, and for her husband to be serving such a person was greatly downlooked upon. She was feeling very humiliated, or very, because you know how women are, especially in villages, they talk amongst themselves. And they talk about each other, and they would have talked about how her husband is the servant of a Shudra, although he's a Brahmana, that he's fallen, that your whole family has lost its caste because you're serving a Shudra. The Shudras are meant to serve you, but look at your caste. These are the general talks that go around in a village. When you go to villages in India or Nepal or in these places where Vedic culture was present, that's all they do all day, especially the women. They keep the house clean and take care of the children, but then they have extra time, they get together and they talk. And generally the talk is about the neighbor next door, or the cousin from whatever this side of the family or that side of the family, or that village boy to this village girl, and such and such. Naturally, women are accustomed to speaking like this. So you can imagine what would have been going on when Ramanujacharya, who is a great scholar, a great Brahmana, and coming in the line of a Smarta Brahmana, was serving a Shudra. His wife would have, and the wives of others would have greatly spoken to her, like in that way of dismissiveness. Oh yeah, that, he's a Shudra. What is happening? Why are you doing this? So specifically, when actually Kanchipurna came to the house. Ramanujacharya invited Kanchipurna to his home for dinner to serve him, to serve his spiritual master. But I believe he was running a little bit late. So here Kanchipurna, being very humbly, arrived early. So before Ramanuja returned, he arrived early, but the only person that was present there was his wife. Kanchipurna explained to Ramanuja's wife, Kambalaksha, that he had service to do in the temple and could not stay for long. With this, Kambalaksha quickly fed him and sent him away. After Kanchipurna had left, she took a long stick and carefully picked up the banyan leaf upon which he had dined, and as not to spoil her hands with what she had thought to be contaminated remnants of an untouchable. After ordering her maidservant to clean the room carefully, she bathed in order to purify herself. When Ramanuja returned and heard the insult of his guru, he was enraged. So she had the audacity to, she was always thinking like that he came and pretty much treated him like a Shudra. In general, in Vedic culture, you don't let Shudra even inside your house. And if they come inside your house, then you have to purify the whole place. You have to take everything out and wash the whole place down and clean every little paraphernalia in order to purify the place. So her intelligence, being that of a woman, it was very contaminated, and she could not see the proper Acharya, proper Vaishnava. She could not see. She had no eyes to see. And so she disrespected him as very offensive to him by this. One is meant to partake in the remnants of a Vaishnava. As we read, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, there's three most powerful things in this whole universe is the dust from the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, the remnants of a Vaishnava, and what's the other one? The water that's washed the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Those three things are to be greatly regarded because they grant one devotion to Vishnu. But she had no regard for him, so much as she treated him like the lowest being in the society. And so much so that instead of taking his remnants, she didn't even touch them. She picked him up with a bamboo stick, it's mentioned here, just a stick, and threw it out and had a maidservant clean the whole place out. So it's quite disgusting behavior. So Ramanujacharya was greatly disturbed and greatly angered by this. And then another incident happened where the wife of Kanchipurna was also getting water, and the wife of Ramanujacharya was also getting water, and I think the water pots accidentally became mixed. And Ramanujacharya's wife cursed Kanchipurna's wife, thinking that her water pot had become contaminated by the water of an outcast. When Ramanujacharya came to know of this insult, he was furious. He sent his wife home to her parents and left to take sannyas. So even the great acharyas, they exhibit such things that just like Prabhupada says, Rama, he's exhibiting how the trouble that comes upon one when one takes a wife, or family life, the difficulties that family life puts on oneself. Even the great acharyas like Ramanujacharya, who was married, his wife was practically a demon. She was treating his guru like that, disrespecting a Vaishnava, all of these things. This is a demoniac mentality to disrespect Vaishnavas. So even great acharyas like Ramanujacharya, they showed the platform of renunciation by just giving it up immediately, that one should not actually stay in very close association with those who are offensive to Vaishnavas. One should immediately leave. Actually, it's mentioned in Shastra, one should either cut the person's tongue or commit suicide himself, jump into the Ganga. So this is the platform on which Ramanujacharya, he left his own household and engaged in intense study. He engaged in intense study. He actually went to, here we go. It's mentioned that he went and engaged in intense study of the Vedas. And then he, after undergoing so much study and all of this, he also converted Yadava Prakash into a Vaishnava by speaking to him, by his association to Yadava Prakash. His actually mother instructed him to go and see him. And converted Yadava Prakash. After some time, he moved to, actually he took initiation in the from Mahapurna in the Vaishnava mantra. This is the famous pastime where here, when he left Kanchipuram, he arrived in Srirangam to study deeply under the guidance of Mahapurna, a prominent disciples of Yamunacharya. And with the help of Mahapurna, Ramanuja became expert in many scriptures, including the Nyasa Tattva, the Gitartha Shangraha, the Siddhitraya, and Brahma Sutra, and the Pancharatras. After some time, Mahapurna advised Ramanujacharya to go to the great Goshtipurna and accepted initiation in the Vaishnava mantra from him. So at the behest of Mahapurna, Ramanuja approached Goshtipurna for the mantra but was refused, for Goshtipurna was reluctant to give such a confidential mantra to a relative newcomer. Ramanujacharya approached Goshtipurna 18 times with great humility, finally breaking into tears and pleading for his mercy. At last, Goshtipurna gave him the mantra after first swearing him to absolute secrecy. When Ramanujacharya had vowed to never repeat the mantra to anyone else, Goshtipurna whispered the mantra into his ear. This mantra is most powerful. Whoever chants it will attain liberation. He will return to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha planets, where he will achieve the personal service of the Lord. As he left the temple and proceeded towards Srirangam, a crowd gathered around Ramanujacharya. They had heard that he was to receive the mantra from Goshtipurna and began to know its secret. Inspired to distribute the magic of the mantra that could free anyone who chanted it from material existence, Ramanujacharya announced to the crowd, "Please chant this mantra, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayanaya." Om Namo Narayana. The crowd was overjoyed and felt that they had been truly blessed. But when the news reached Goshtipurna, he called for Ramanuja. Outraged that his disciple would disobey his order so quickly, he demanded an explanation. "I told you to keep this mantra secret. Why have you so quickly revealed it to the masses? Do you know the penalty for such behavior?" Ramanuja replied, "Yes, Gurudev, I may go to hell for disobeying your order." "Then why have you done such a thing?" "My beloved teacher, I realized that the power of the mantra given by you could deliver everyone who hears it. Even when I saw the earnest desire of these people to be saved from material life, I could not contain myself. I felt some divine inspiration to distribute your mercy to all of them. If this is a great sin, then I must be punished by your holiness. Condemn me to hell, then, if my sin warrants it. But please do not show your wrath to these simple people who begged me for this mantra."
Simple or sinful?
Simple people. These simple people. When Goshtipurna saw the earnest sincerity of his disciples, his heart was moved. After all, what greater principle can there be than distribution of the Lord's mercy? Although Ramanuja had disobeyed this letter of his instructions about the mantra, he had understood the real spirit of the mantra itself. He would make a great preacher of the Sri Sampradaya and had shown that he had the capacity to instill devotion into the hearts of the people in general. How could he then be condemned? Goshtipurna fell at Ramanuja's feet saying, "Forgive me, my child. It is you who are my master and I the disciple. Who am I to take the role of a guru? How could I know your greatness? Accept me as your disciple." After this, Ramanujacharya's reputation spread far and wide. He was regarded as an incarnation of Lakshman himself. He began training more and more disciples, and his camp grew. He engaged many scholars in debate, and defeated them by propounding his systematic view of Vedanta, known as Vishishta Advaita Vada, or qualified monism. One such scholar was Yagyamurti. So you can see the life of Ramanujacharya is that of a preacher. That life of Ramanujacharya is that of one who is a servant of his spiritual master, who understood the principles that the spiritual master had laid out and carried them out, even though outwardly it seemed like that the instruction may have been there, don't distribute it, don't distribute this to the masses. But he understood the heart and the line of the sampradaya and the mood of the sampradaya in which he came in which Yamuna Acharya had a great desire to spread the message of Vishnu. And so Ramanuja Acharya, understanding this, although seemingly disobeying, was actually showing the proper way in which one should serve, or in which one should distribute the mercy, that it should not just be kept. That if there is something that can liberate everyone, and that is devotion to Vishnu, and that is granted by the mantra that he gave, then it should be given to everyone, because this is the desire of Yamuna Acharya. He saw that he was following the desire of Yamuna Acharya. He was not deviating from the line. He was not deviating from the line of the Acharyas. He just understood very deeply what was the desire of the Acharya. So, while he seemingly disobeyed one instruction, he fulfilled the greater desire or the greater instruction, which was to spread the message of Vishnu, to establish Vishnu Bhakti. Because it was made clear to him that if one does chant this mantra, that he will attain devotion to Vishnu and he'll go to the Vaikuntha planets. And so in order to fulfill the desire of Yamuna Acharya, he underwent the austerity or the possibility of he himself going to hell. That is the platform of which a disciple functions on. He is ready to do anything for the spiritual master. He is ready to serve the spiritual master without any reservation. He himself does not care for for his own well-being. He does not care for his own whatever own benefit. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, I'm going to hell next to preach. And so Ramanuja Acharya, he did not fear where he would go next, because he was established in Vishnu Bhakti. He could not care less whether I am in hell or heaven. It is the same for him. It does not matter. Why? Because wherever he is, he will preach. Wherever he is, he will establish Vishnu Bhakti into the hearts of the people that are present. So Ramanuja Acharya was greatly devoted to Yamuna Acharya and very much followed his instructions, that primary being those to preach the message of Vishnu, to establish the Sri Vaishnava philosophy very deeply and give a true understanding of the Vedas, and to show the masses of people or to comment on the hymns of the Alvars. And so Ramanuja Acharya, he had a great desire to do this, and he did he did it with a lot of strength, and he actually spread the cult of Sri Vaishnava throughout the continent of India, as I was saying. And it reached so far up to Nepal, and if that preaching was going on, there's so many nice temples in Nepal of the Sri Vaishnava line. And later, there's some arguments that were there, that some say that, well, preaching wasn't so a part of the Sri Vaishnava line, and it wasn't actually done so much. But Prabhupada very much pointed out that Ramanuja Acharya was actually a primary example of how preaching should be done, that he was going to the masses of people who are not interested in Vishnu Bhakti and establishing that by preaching the Vedanta philosophy, by giving the proper understanding of the Vedanta philosophy, by converting the Mayavadis into Vaishnavas. And this was done already by the Acharya, Ramanuja Acharya himself, and the previous Acharyas. That was their great desire. But later, it can be seen that it is not done so much. That Prabhupada, as I've said a few times, and in this conversation, Prabhupada criticized them, why they have stopped preaching, why they have stopped. That is their fault. That is my problem with them. Why have they stopped preaching the Vishnu Bhakti? Why have they stopped preaching the purports and the understanding that Ramanuja Acharya has given? Why have they become relaxed? Because this is the point, that one should spread the message of the Lord throughout the whole world, not just in Bharata Bhumi, but throughout the whole world. That was the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Ramanuja Acharya, he is not separate from the actually line of Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. He's actually a part of it. Actually, it's mentioned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his, what is this book? Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. It's mentioned that actually Ramanuja Acharya had a great vision of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He went to Jagannath Puri and then was instructed by Jagannath to go to Navadvip. Or he may have had vision of Navadvip while he was in Jagannath Puri. I can't particularly remember that detail. But he saw that actually that Lord Jagannath revealed to him that at this time I will be coming, and I will be coming to spread the mission of the Lord greatly. And at that time you can, he was Ramanujacharya was very deep, wanting to see that form of the Lord. He really wanted to see that. And so I believe he was granted a particular position, and that when in the Chaitanya Leela, I can't remember exactly what his name or who what position he took upon. So Ramanujacharya, he is actually very, he represents a very principal aspects of Gaudiya Vaishnava culture, and he's actually very deeply a part of that Gaudiya Vaishnava culture, because you see his mood and his attitude and the way that he was preaching is practically non-different from what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much preached against the caste consciousness, and so did Ramanujacharya. He established himself as a primary example of that. He took initiation from a Shudra guru, you could say. That's what they considered him as. So Ramanujacharya established the message of Vishnu very deeply in that 1000 AD, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came later, 500 years later, and more or less continued that and expounded that and to a greater degree. And so Ramanujacharya plays a great role, and we can actually take great inspiration from him, and we can pray to him. Because although you could technically saying he belongs in a different sampradaya, it does not make a difference. He is a great devotee of Vishnu. We do not disregard him. Many devotees in the past have done so, and on that platform they have fallen down from the platform of devotional service. That I've heard from Mahotsa Prabhu was specifically recounting this, that one particular devotee said something like this, that we have nothing to do with the Sri Vaishnava line. Why should we take example from them? Why should we take their tradition? Why should we understand from them? Why should we take our understanding from them? And such a person is a great offender to Srila Prabhupada also now. He's a great offender to Srila Prabhupada, great offender to the Vaishnava lines, to the Gaudiya Vaishnava line itself, to an extent that he regards everything that we do, even though great acharyas like Bhaktivinoda Thakur very much deeply explain how the dress that we wear, the tilak that we wear, everything that we do is very greatly pleasing to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's so bold to say, oh, actually we don't need such things, they're all external, it's Indian culture. So such a person has materialistic vision and has no regard for such acharyas as Ramanuja Acharya and great acharyas of other line and their traditions. So we should take great inspiration, because Ramanuja Acharya's line is still running till now, this day, and is very strong. It's very strong. It is going on. There's so many great devotees of the Sri Vaishnava culture that is going on slowly as Kali Yuga. Progresses, obviously things become a little bit here and there. Just like I was looking at a website, it seems like it is more or less it is a specific website dedicated to Ramanujacharya, but he is, this statue of equality is like so nonsense. Like you read the descriptions, like he's just the is the what is the how do you say the embellum no emblem, like he's the flag emblem of equality. But that's not who Ramanujacharya is at all. He did not preach equality. He preached message to Vishnu, destroying of Mayavad, establishing Vishnu Bhakti. That's not equality at all. He preached equality on the platform of the soul, that actually whatever the caste system is not, what this caste system is false. The real thing is Varnashram, that one according to quality, guna and karma, not birth and karma. So they've degraded his position like this to alleviate the miseries of others. I don't mind facing the thorns of hell, but that's not what he's particularly said. That's one of the quotes that are on there, because is the statue of equality. To alleviate the misery of others, I don't mind facing the tears of hell. No. I don't mind facing the tears of hell if by my activities they get devotion to Vishnu. Not the miseries of others. What do they take that to be? That means feeding people. That means giving them money, giving them clothes, providing homes. That's what it means to other people. That's not what but they quote Ramanujacharya like that. This is nonsense. This is offensive to Ramanujacharya. All are eligible to enter the temple. The Creator showed no partiality, nor should we. Okay. All are equally qualified to chant the names of God. Yes. All are equal in the eyes of God. Yes. But it doesn't actually glorify Ramanujacharya, especially starting with this crazy statement to alleviate the miseries of others. It's not Jesus. It's not the Jesus complex here. But it's specifically how to do that is not being stated. His main thing that he did is not being stated here. Main thing was that he established the devotion to Vishnu. That is the main thing, nothing else. But everything else, that is not even made a point. That one should specifically devote oneself to Vishnu. That was his mission, not all this other stuff. Especially starting out like this, to alleviate the miseries of others. People don't even know what their miseries are. So, Ramanujacharya, although such things like this are there, whatever, is an icon of equality, he is a social reformer. So, it's a little bit, although they want to glorify him, they haven't done a great job in doing that. And it seems that the persons coming in the Sri Vaishnava line are also at least the most prominent Acharya. I guess the Acharya or the devotee that is there seems like whatever mixing with Mayavadis and not speaking against them, maybe even appreciating them, not actually like being strong in what has been established in that sampradaya. So this is going on. But nonetheless, it has continued and the tradition is still there. There's still so many of those who are purely following Ramanujacharya, and that culture is so strongly present when you go to South India specifically. And so we should take great inspiration from how Ramanujacharya's line has continued so strongly. And we should therefore follow like that in Srila Prabhupada's service. Follow like the disciples of Ramanujacharya, follow the example of Ramanujacharya, because our own spiritual master and and our own grand spiritual master, they have their desire, just like we were seeing that his 3 fingers were not closed when he had left his body. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada also has the great desire of not having manifest the next 50% of his mission while he was on the planet. So Srila Prabhupada is waiting. He's waiting for his disciples to take upon such a order that he has given, that to establish the next 50%. He said it will be completely different. It is next 50%. It is a very important part of the movement. It is, is equally as important as the Sankirtan movement. But we have not given it proper regard. We have not given it proper, a good shot. We have not actually tried to implement it, because the duty of the disciple is not to try it and leave it, but to constantly see how it can be done. Not that it cannot be done, but that we have failed, so let's not do it. But it can be done. It must be done, and how to do that, how to establish it. So, just like Ramanujacharya was very strong in doing that and promised his spiritual master to fulfill his desire, we should do the same. We should fulfill the desire of Srila Prabhupada. We should fulfill his mission. We should fulfill the desire of our own spiritual masters to establish these farms. The book distribution and the Harinams are going on and must be kept going on. But this particular aspect, Srila Prabhupada is waiting for us to take upon that order. And is waiting for when we take that order up to provide us with unlimited amount of resources, just like Avadhu Chandra Prabhu is like doing this little garden back here, whatever, some resemblance of, of starting some sort of farms. And we can see immediately how much resources are available. That we're seeing that people just down the street here are getting $200,000 grants, right? $200,000? $100,000 for a piece of thing. I don't know what they're doing. There's some compost thing. It's not even like making food or doing anything. There's a great need in society for a place where people can go and live simply, eat food that is not poison, live with people that are not envious. And so immediately, even just on this little endeavor that Avadhu Chandra Prabhu is making back there, men are provided, money is provided, everything is more or less given as we endeavor more. Just like this Caden, although he came to the retreat and he wasn't, he may not have been the ideal candidate to live as a brahmachari in the ashram, but he came and all of a sudden he's able to do so much service in the garden for the devotees. He knows so much, right? He has so much experience in farming, and he's able to sit with Avadhu Chandra Prabhu and serve Avadhu Chandra Prabhu. And he's got a humble attitude, right? He comes in and he doesn't come in with the attitude, I know everything, I want this done, and this is what I want to do. He requests you what you want done, and then he works with you to fulfill that. So it's amazing that that when even a little bit of endeavor that we make in this direction, Srila Prabhupada is waiting just to provide all of that. And actually I was listening to my spiritual master, and he was saying that some people think, like myself, we should first get the preaching going again and then get the farms. But he said, that's not, my opinion is different. And in another place, I recently read that, obviously the opinion of the spiritual master is not really an opinion. It's like, okay, this is what he says, that's what I do. It's like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the greatest of all yogis is one who always meditates upon me. That is my opinion. Whose else opinion do you need? So he was saying, my opinion is that we should immediately start the farms and get them going and show people how to live lives. So the desire of the spiritual master, of the line of Gaudiya Vaishnava, actually, of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, of Srila Prabhupada, and our own spiritual masters, are more or less to start this Varnashram Dharma, to start this Daivi Varnashram Dharma, to establish that and to get that going so other people can come and live there and be very impressed. Actually, you can imagine, you come to a farm and you see people living ideal lives that are in accordance with Shastra. And you read the books and you go see the example of that. And you see pure devotees who are pure at heart, are happy, are satisfied. Immediately I would be like, okay, forget this, all this other stuff, join this farm. That would be amazing. That would expand the Sankirtan movement so much. So if we fulfill the desire of the spiritual master, everything will come. Men will come, money will come. All of these things will naturally come. So just like Ramanujacharya, his desire to fulfill the desires of his spiritual master, it gave him great enthusiasm, and he was able to establish Krishna consciousness. Even sometimes when the person that gave him the mantra told him not to do it. Sometimes we see in the Krishna consciousness movement, the leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement have said, well, Varnashram Dharma is not possible, and haven't even commented upon it, or haven't even given have given a complete disregard. One who understands the desire of the line of the Acharyas, one who has studied that or is coming in that line, he should be not offensive to his guru, or not offensive to those who may say that, but may not follow those instructions. He may have the right to not follow those instructions, because it's clear that just like somebody tells us not to distribute books. Let's say we got initiated by some guru, and he told us don't distribute books. We can disregard that. Why can we disregard that? Because it's not the instructions of the acharyas. It's against the conclusion of our acharyas. It's clear. It's very clear. It's not like something that you have to ponder over. Prabhupada's instructions are so clearly there. And so Ramanujacharya is showing that also, that one should deeply understand the desire of the sampradaya. One should deeply understand that, and go forward like that. So we should not be shy to establish Varnashram Dharma, even though so many other gurus and so many other devotees within the movement may say, don't do it. It's like we don't need that. We don't need Varnashram Dharma. We don't want to bring in the system of having Brahmanas and Kshatriyas and Vaishyas and Shudras. We don't want to do that. Like, let's not do that. And Prabhupada said that, but it's just like Prabhupada was wrong. Whatever, all this nonsense that they speak. But if we happen to be in such a situation, which we hope we never be put in such situations, then we have the right to disregard that instructions, because they're not according to Shastras and Guru or Sadhu. So we should take this mission of Srila Prabhupada very seriously in establishing these farms. We should deeply invest in them, and when we just have a little bit of faith, my spiritual master said like that people don't have faith in Srila Prabhupada's instructions. If you just put a little bit of faith in there and just started it, Srila Prabhupada would provide everything. So we can take this inspiration from Ramanujacharya, his dedication to his guru, his humility, his strong devotion to Vishnu and to the Vaishnavas, and go forward like that. So I'll end my class there. Mahotsav Prabhu had some things he wanted to say. I'll call him real quick. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, pranam, Prabhu.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, what source were you using when you were speaking from whatever you was,
Yeah, this is the devotee Stephen Knapp.
I see. Okay. Because many, I don't know. Are you like reading straight off of his thing, or like is this quite a few? I don't know. From what we've heard, the details are very different. Actually.
Which particular?
Firstly, one correction I wanted to make is that you were saying we hate the Mayavadis. We don't hate the Mayavadis, we hate their philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't hate them, we hate their philosophy. Like the same principle, don't hate the sin, I hate the sin.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, was he really born in a Smarta family? I think he was born in a Brahmana family.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this illusion that Ramanujacharya, he's the one who like the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, that he got this Vishnu Bhakti, but the Alvars, all of them were there way before him.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like, I think he was born in a Brahmin family. He was definitely born in a Brahmin family, but not in a Smartha Brahmin family.
Mm-hmm. It's the caste. It's mentioned the caste of a Vadama Smartha Brahmanas.
It says that?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, maybe there's a detail that I didn't look into. So another thing also is that it seems like there's been a mix-up between the pastimes of Kanchi Purna and then those with Mahapurna.
Mm-hmm.
Mahapurna was the reason actually why Ramanujacharya the reason why Kanchi Purna left his home early was because he understood that Ramanuja wanted to take his remnants. And he had asked Ramanuja had asked him also to be his spiritual master, but he said I can't be a spiritual master. Sticking to he used the different rules of Varnashram as an example, but in reality it was his humility. And every time Ramanujacharya had some doubts, he knew that Kanchi Purna could go and talk to Varadaraja directly. He could go and talk to him and get his answers. So, he would reveal knowledge unto him like that. So, the reason why Ramanujacharya was going to see Yamunacharya is because he wanted to take initiation from him. And he sent his disciple Mahapurna to get initiated. To go bring him, fetch him for initiation. But by the time he came, he saw, and then, one thing, the way you're holding the three fingers, it's not usually the way you're holding. It's usually depicted that the index finger and the thumb finger, those were the ones which were relaxed.
Index and the thumb finger.
Yeah. Like pointing at someone, index and the thumb finger. And the three wishes of Yamunacharya, are that, don't laugh at it, you can become mature. The three wishes of Yamunacharya, one of them, of course, is that he writes a commentary on the Sri Bhashya, and of course includes the commentary of the Alvars and all that. Of course, you also got there was another one which you said, which was also right. What was that? He writes a commentary on the Sri Bhashya, then the commentary on the Alvars, and that he also glorifies Parashara and Veda Vyas by naming learned disciples, after them in order to keep their glory up. Because Yamunacharya didn't want their glory to be lost. So preach that too. So anyway, Ramanujacharya wanted to take the remnants of Kanchi Purna, and he knew that. So he came quickly, and then he quickly took whatever prasadam his wife offered, and he took and he left. And yes, of course, she did the whole Smartha ritual and all this. But the main mix-up also over here, it seems like Mahapurna. So when, the next time, when Ramanujacharya, he wanted to go to Srirangam to get initiated by Mahapurna. And Mahapurna was walking towards Kanchi, and they met halfway, and he said, I wanted to come to you for initiation. He said, okay, let's go to Srirangam. I'll initiate you. They said, no, you just initiate me now. You initiate me now. Because he was very upset with Lord Ranganath, actually. That, he wanted to go take initiation of Yamunacharya. And Lord Ranganath called Yamunacharya back, and he couldn't get in it. He didn't even go and take darshan of Ranganath. So he said, no, let's do it right here. Let's do it right now. So he got initiated right away. By Mahapurna. So then Mahapurna is he appeared in a Brahmana family. And he, along with his wife, was living in Ramanujacharya's house. And Ramanujacharya's wife, of course, she felt like she was being neglected so much. And, she was, always, and, she felt like, again, like I was saying, you ask any Brahmana, which Brahmana family is the best family? They said their Brahman family is the best family. So she felt like her Brahmin family was better than Mahapurna's Brahmin family.
Mm-hmm.
And while they were both fetching water, then both their pots collided.
Mm.
And then she's like chastised her, how, you're coming from a low-class Brahmin family, I'm from a high-class Brahmin family. And then like Mahapurna heard of this incident and he just split. He just left along with his wife to go back to Srirangam.
Mm.
So then Ramanujacharya was very upset. And, he saw that there was, and he heard, he was walking again and he was thinking what to do. And he came across a Brahmin who was very upset. He asked the Brahmin, why are you so upset? And he said, I went to your home and your wife just asked me to go away.
Mm.
Because it's a dharma to feed a Brahmin if he comes and asks him, she's asked me to go away. So then he said, you see, what you do is I'm going to write a letter. And he wrote a letter pretending to be like her father, his wife's father, and invited her to come over for the younger sister's wedding.
Mm.
He told the Brahmin, introduce yourself like this. So she said, he went up to her and he told her, actually, I'm coming on behalf of your father. Then she fed him very nicely, all this and all that. And Ramanujacharya came, acted like he didn't know anything, gave her a little money and sent her away to her father's house with a Brahmana, and then he took sannyas.
Mm.
So in Guru Maharaj's class, actually, I think it was on the day of my initiation or a few days before my initiation, one of his classes, he said that, that both Srila Prabhupada and Ramanujacharya's wife played a big role in saving humanity at large.
Mm.
Because they fried their husbands out so much that they took sannyas. Both of them. So that's...
So do you know like where that is? Like where your sources are?
Yeah, I could. I mean, I heard so many of this from the Sri Vaishnava Sannyasi himself.
Oh.
And you can see the most of the research work that's done. Even if you see if you go and just look at all the different histories that's all been done, we could ask our Sri Vaishnava God brothers, I guess, Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu and all of them, and I get some clarification on this point. But this is what I've heard, all my life, in regards to Ramanujacharya.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because some of these details, they just, just seem a little out of, it just didn't add up. And this is the first time I'm hearing, what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
Or whatever source you're quoting from. So that'd be interesting. And I think it's a far stretch to say that Ramanujacharya is part of the Gaudiya Sampradaya.
No, I was just saying he's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know the point you were making, but
mm-hmm.
And I agree with the point. And Ramanujacharya appeared in Navadvip as a devotee called Ananta.
Mm-hmm.
And he was there. He was present for the marriage of Lord Chaitanya along with Lakshmi Priya.
Mm-hmm.
And he appeared like that.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, there's so many more details.
Mm-hmm.
These are some of the points I wanted to make.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, Jai.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. All right, it's 9:02. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Ramanujacharya ki jai. All right, let's do it. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.